Once upon a time, in a beautiful village in Morocco, there lived a man to whom God had granted wealth, gardens, cows, and sheep like no other. Despite his immense wealth, he was also known for his extreme stinginess and reluctance to spend. He rarely gave charity to the poor in his village, and his miserliness extended to his own family, particularly his wives and daughters, whom he did not adequately provide for. He had 3 wives and 7 daughters, whom he considered burdensome. He decided to marry one of his servants' daughters in hopes of having a son to inherit his wealth. The girl, gentle and beautiful, agreed to the arrangement without hesitation. Despite obeying her husband's every command, he treated her harshly, as did his other wives. Even though she fulfilled all his orders, he did not even provide her with enough food to satisfy her hunger. The days passed, burdening the girl with the dual suffering of hunger and the difficulty of pregnancy. Her mother warned her not to disclose her pregnancy to avoid harm from its dangers. Thus, the poor girl silently suffered the pains of pregnancy without telling anyone. As time passed, her suffering intensified until she asked her mother to bring her a piece of lamb liver, even if it was just a small piece. The mother was unable to fulfill her daughter's request, as she had nothing but scraps of food she received from serving her mistress. The girl knew well her mother's circumstances, in addition to her husband's extreme stinginess. Despite this, she couldn't contain the cravings that dominated her every thought. The girl pondered how to obtain the piece of lamb liver, and decided to sneak out of the house and head towards her stingy husband's farm where he kept his livestock. After a long journey from the house to the farm, she finally arrived, exhausted and worn out. As soon as she arrived, she went straight to the farmhand and told him her story, explaining how her miserly husband didn't provide her with enough food. She then asked him to feed her some liver from one of the sheep her husband owned, as her cravings had become unbearable. The farmhand was frightened by her request, knowing the extent of his master's stinginess and fearing that he would lose his livelihood if his master found out that one of the sheep had been reduced from the flock. Therefore, he didn't dare to fulfill the girl's request. The poor girl begged desperately, so the compassionate shepherd decided to risk his job for her. He brought her a small lamb from the farm, slaughtered it, removed its liver, and put it on the fire to cook. The girl ate greedily until she finished all the liver, then thanked the shepherd and hurried home. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned for the girl. The first wife noticed her absence and sent a servant to monitor her. The servant relayed everything that happened in the farm to the first wife, who quickly informed her husband. The miserly husband was furious because this news would spread in the village, revealing that he had denied his pregnant wife food. So he decided to take revenge on his poor wife by killing her in the most gruesome manner. He ordered his servants to slaughter the largest calf on his farm and prepare all kinds of delicious dishes. The girl's punishment was to be forced to eat all the food prepared by the servants, or else she would die. He also ordered 2 camels, starving one and depriving the other of water. His plan was to tie his poor wife's hands and feet to the camels, then place a bowl of food in front of the hungry camel and a pot of water in front of the thirsty one. When the camels ran for the food and water, they would tear the girl apart, thus avenging his dignity and honor. The mother was terrified of what would happen to her daughter and pleaded with her master to forgive her, but to no avail. He placed her in the dark hut where he had imprisoned his wife until the time of her punishment. The mother scolded her daughter and told her that she had warned her before about the consequences. All the girl could do was try to alleviate her mother's worries by saying with strong faith the famous saying that has become a proverb to this day: "When God wants to bless, he turns the will." Meaning, until the food is ready and the time for punishment comes, God does what he wills. One of the maids rushed to her master to inform him that everything he had ordered had been done and the food was ready. He ordered her to give him a bite to taste the food before he began to execute the punishment on his wife. As soon as the man put the bite in his mouth, he choked and died instantly. After that, the girl and her mother left the hut, with the girl looking at her mother saying, "Didn't I tell you that when God wants to bless, he turns the will?"